And then Vincent, I've been arguing with Vincent about, jokes and stuff like that. But I've had 2 cups of coffee already, okay? And Johnny Atherton was talking about what has happened. Well, I'm going to reach back 71 months on what has been started. And the president used my line last night. We're on the move, right? He didn't even ask me to use it, but we're on, just being here, we're on the move. But it has been, it's been quite a number of months that we're, here we are, and we're on the move again, and hopefully we'll show you some things that are happening. And I'm appreciative, first of all, to all my departments and all, because it really has been like taking a punch, and they've responded, in boxing, somebody throws a right hand, you duck and come back with a left hook. And I think we've done that, and we'll get into a lot of that. But I do want to thank them, and I want to thank the chamber, and I want to thank everybody here. IP is terrific. It always feels good and welcoming. So, but this is the thing, y'all supposed to laugh just to prove Vincent's wrong. But as I said, this is breakfast with the mayor, not breakfast and lunch with the mayor. Okay. So he said, keep it brief, be slow. I said, well, I said, how many words in an average novel? 90,000 words, right? So we've got probably, and I'm going to add a few more to it, but we probably got a half a novel to go through. So we're going to begin with throwing some PowerPoint at you, and we're going to start again some of the things that in 2015. I took office in May 2015, and by November, 55 miles of roads were torn up. So, and a number of challenges we've had. But as she goes through this was the areas on the eastern part. But that's $129 million worth of infrastructure that we're rolling right on through. That's the water, deep sewer, and different systems that were placed. And if you haven't seen a 34-foot hole in Biloxi, it's deep. So that's the last striping of the north contract. You've got a few more fences to go. We've got the Hemphill contract was about $33 million that was done. Again, that's one of those holes that were dug. But that's deep sewer. The good thing, and Bill Ray will tell you, in this contract, pretty much on the peninsula in the east part, we removed the need for 75 lift stations. And when you lose power, those lift stations can't do their thing and things back up. So that was a tremendous project, and literally we've got probably the west part of it, which is taking lines down Highway 90, not disruptive, but about 20 foot on the right of way from DeBees Road all the way to the lift station, to the plants. So I'm kind of watching. So again, it's more of those holes that are dug, and that's water going in. And this is going on. This is an E-case project, and that's about $30 million.
That's in front of the lodge.
Yeah, it is. And I can tell you, it drained, even though it's still torn up, it drains better than it did before. And that's the last part of the north contract. Again, millions of them. Now, let's stay on this a little bit. Everybody recognizes that? That's Division Street. It's the main gate. New main gate. Now, literally it's a half mile from Forest Avenue to I-110. And the total inside and outside the gate is $37 million of project. But, it's going to make that main gate secure, meet the name. There's something called BRAC, base realignment. I was taking the governor through that, and he pitched it. He said, look, this is going to keep Keystone from being on that, that list, should it come about. A lot of great things. Well, she's a general now, but Michelle Edmondson was the commander, the 81st Wing Commander there in 2015 when I became mayor, and we got that project going with Clark Griffin and some of the folks that General Peterson, and it's a tremendous project. As a matter of fact, this week I'm going to meet Lieutenant General, it's a 3-star General, Brad Webb, Sunday afternoon, and they're having what's called the gathering of the torch. Okay, now Keesler is part of the 2nd Air Force. General Webb is AETC commander, which is Air Education Training Command. There are going to be commands from the 2nd Air Force, from the 19th Air Force, from Maxwell, the University, the Air Force University. 24, I believe, Vincent, 24 folks are gathering. But on Thursday, we'll all gather around that gate, and you understand at that roundabout, towards the water tower that you see in the middle of the picture, is where all the big trucks that used to go down Bayview and into the hospital there, they'll all be channeled through here. And there'll be no backup because it absorbs all the traffic. So there'll be no problems with going in and out of Keesler. So that was a big thing. And we're looking at probably the end of this year being ready to open that gate. Now, I think we spent about $18 million on the outside and about $7 million on the inside. They have to build their visitor center and a couple of other. I think they may even have part of their museum, the Keesler Museum, right there. And in the future, that's going to be, I think, part of the cyber security facility there. So we're real pleased and proud that we were able to do that, since that time. So, okay, Seal, I'm ready. All right, next thing that's always been there, that's the Sanger Theater. We got about $5 million to go there. We're about 10 days from completing at least 3 of the 4 walls on the outside, sealing the envelope, so to speak, a new HVAC, new roof, new pointing of the bricks. But inside, from about those exits that you see on the side will be demolished, so the interior renovations will be, and all the seats I think are removed too at this point in time. Yeah, you see they're loading them up. It's interesting to see at the Sanger. We've always known it's such a cool place, such good acoustics. But if you look at that brick wall, when you take the bricks away, because they had to remove some of that to see where whether it was leaking after they finished pointing the bricks. Literally, the inside walls are closer to the bricks at the top than they are at the bottom, so it's maybe a foot difference, but it was for acoustics. So that was interesting to see. I never realized that. But it's been a great spot, a great place, and we're looking forward to doing. Now you see that the back is a tower, and that was sort of unforeseen. That's why it took about $1 million more. Literally, it was collapsing. And Joe Boney, when did we notice that? When things were, I guess some of the steel was collapsing and said, you can't do anything. So that was about $1 million and a number of months worth of tap dancing to get taken. But it really looks fine. There'll be some coloring of the, I guess it's the green room, so that we'll be finishing that up. Then we'll really go into the major deal with the interior renovations. Again, in talking with a number of folks that may have some interest in doing things like the Broadway plays, and we're going to actually, part of our agreement with the Department of Archives and History is that we'll have some management company, do the things that they need to do. So we won't be, asking our group to manage the whole thing. So there'll be some analysis and some figuring out what we want to do. But of course, we want to accommodate all the dance recitals and things that had normally been there, plays and that sort of thing. So it'll be great. And again, it has its niche, it's downtown Biloxi. And while we're thinking about that too, I think, Jerry, today or tomorrow, the DRC is looking at the final plans for the Bark building, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so anyway, so it's happening a little bit at a time. Now, this is the first really center that we put in Woolmarket since they've been annexed. That's about $300,000 when you all look at it, but that was opened last week, I think. Sherry, when did we cut the ribbon? 21st, I believe, wasn't it? Yeah, I want you to notice something too. There's a pretty cool little feature there. Talk about flat screen TV. That's a flat screen light. So it's really cool. It really is, just hangs. It's amazing. But okay, now the other thing you heard about the boardwalks, West Biloxi Boardwalk. think the first bunch, the phase one was 1.5 million, and the second phase, which gives us about a mile of walking, that was about $910,000, and we cut the ribbon on that. And you know, Zeta was a big thing, right? Didn't lose a stick off of that thing. So another project which is ongoing is about $3.2 million worth of boardwalk on the bay between Forest Avenue and Kensington. Again, that's and some of those rocks that you saw and loved. You know, Agent Orange couldn't, you know, kill the grass that was growing up through there. But literally, the other day, saw some people stealing rocks. So they were actually taking those rocks and taking them somewhere. Not going to turn anybody. Okay, that's another boardwalk. That's between Oak Street and Small Craft Harbor. Again, that's the one that we talked about. I've talked about before, the big sand and the knee wall. That'll be a 10-foot boardwalk on top of the seawall. Again, there's 9 steps, and in bits and pieces, you've seen some of the concrete that's there. But that's the beginning. That's from Oak Street going towards the Small Craft Harbor. So that's why. Now this is another seawall project. I know from those of y'all from the Point, I understand that that's the greatest bottom in the, you know, around for soft shelling. So we're going to revitalize that with some bulkheads. Some people call it Mikey's Reef, but it goes back a long way. And so we got, I believe, $800,000 to do that. So there'll be a bulkhead and a way to kind of enjoy. But people right now, as bad as it is, they're having picnics there. So that's another part of our living shoreline, and we'll be able to, you know, walk, get you to the bridge, to the fishing bridge, and get you, you know, the ability to walk to the Small Craft Harbor past the Seafood Industry Museum. All right, the other part of the plan is at the west end of the boardwalk, the West End Boardwalk, is going to be a new boat launch. And this is a really a joint project. We're providing the property and some things there, but that's the boat launch at the West End, right by Treasure Bay. Okay? And this is an expansion of the Coon Street. Right now you see one of those piers. Well, we're going to expand that and some parking at Coon Street right down by the Seafood Industry Museum Pier. All right, and this is some improvements. I think we got, Mike, what, $200,000 or $300,000 to do the improvement to Hiller Park. Yeah. So, you know, boat launches are, I think there are about 7,600 boats registered, you know, personal boats registered for runabouts and stuff like that. So we got to have them adequate ways and to launch their boats and park the things that go along with it. Hiller Park, okay. You can go mask up Biloxi. Okay, we're going to stop there just a minute. You know, just being here today is proof that you know, things are moving in the right direction. I'm going to take you back a little bit. You know, when you're used to a couple of $1 million a month in gaming revenue, and you know, your budget is all planned about that, and I can remember like it was yesterday. Beware the odds of March, right? March 15th, something like that. Well, that went away. But you know, we knew things were on. We were on a terrific year, 2019, and on the way back to even a better year than 2019. But it all went away in March. I knew things were pretty good because almost 14 days into March, we were like 94% of the gaming revenue for the whole month. So man, that was cool. But it went away. Now what do? You know, I'm gonna get away. Can you see me all right over here? You know, in business, what do? You know, things related to the bottom line. You know, I got 600 employees and they have families, and we don't want to do anything that, you know, we just want to maintain the quality of life and the things we did. Well, in business, everything's related to bottom line, management of assets, increasing revenues, which we couldn't do. Revenues went away, or you reduce your expenses. Well, the first move we did was look around. What we had to do, we had a number of people that had to, you know, take off, and we still had the same amount of services to do. And that's why I said I'm appreciative of all our departments on what they had to do. We, the people who shut down, I think 4 weeks, was that Mike? 3 or 4 weeks. Everybody went home, 3 weeks. Only essential employees were there. And the ones that did work were on premium time. So not only you take your revenue away, but you kick up your the expenses. This is a big deal. So we gathered up and looked around. Well, the obvious thing for you bankers in here was, debt service, right? And we've got some debt service. Well, we had about $20 million in ballpark and some of those other things, like I said, about those 15 easy payments of $1.2 million each for MGM Park, but it was sitting there at about 5%. And, interest rates were favorable, so we took that 5% and whittled it down to 2%. And that saved us almost immediately, about $600,000 in that one fiscal year to October, and then about $1.2 million total. Well, that was helpful, to offset some of the unexpected things. But similarly, Biloxi, along with Gulfport and the other municipalities, sometimes I call them villages, but basically, we owned I guess about the $102 million in debt service. Biloxi had $42 million in debt service. Part of your bill is that debt service. Part of your water bill is that debt service that you got to whittle it down. There you go. That's my bill, as a matter of fact. But anyway, a great opportunity we're sitting there at about $102 million financed at 5%. Again, I'm looking at the budget. This is 2 months before, the October 1 budget. So, man, something got to be done. Well, we whittled that down. We took for Biloxi's $42 million, that the debt service was $3.9 million a year. That's the biggest single bill that Biloxi pays. So that debt service was $3.9 million and went down to $2.7 million. Okay, and that was not just for 1 year. That's $1.3 million a year for the next 30 years, for 20 years. So that was, applause is nice. But I want you to notice something. You'll notice, again, your water bill is based on how much water you use. Now, I use right there about 4,000 gallons. Well, the water part of it, for us to deliver water, is about $1.30 a 1,000 gallons. If you're a senior, it's a little bit, if you're over 65, which I qualify, it's a little bit less than that. But normally, by law, you've got to, make sure that your expenses equal your revenues. But anyway, bottom line, part of the equation over the last 4 years was a little step up so it could, stay even, before the general fund can't subsidize the water and sewer operation. But bottom line is, about $1.31 a 1,000 gallons is what you pay. That meter is used to compute how much wastewater or sewage charge. Now, Biloxi, all the cities are charged by, a meter. In other words, if you go use 4,000 gallons of water, you're going to probably cause another 2,000 gallons worth of that water to be processed. So that's a separated charge. So you can see, I think it's about $2.31 a 1,000 gallons you charge. So it's all based on how much water you use. Then, of course, the garbage fee is a fixed fee that whatever Pelican Waste, or not Pelican Waste, but I guess waste management, but by contract, that's a pass-on charge. We have no really control over that. Whatever we have to pay, we're asking you to pay. So, but everything that's generated, but the utility authority charge for debt service is computed at $3.80 times 1,000 gallons you use. So that was that, at the rate of the $42 million we had to pay. That's how that's computed. But what we did as a result, and we just implemented that about 2 months ago, as a result of that favorable refinancing, we gave you a 50 cents credit per 1,000 gallons. We're the only ones that did that. So that last entry, HCUA debt reduction, is a reduction that we pass on to the customers specifically for the refinancing of that debt. So, that's offset any kind of 30 cents or 20 cents increase in actually the water bill. So that's first thing we did was pass that back on to the user, to the customer. All right, see, what else am I looking for? Okay, we did have another, talking about absorb some punches, Zeta. And we were talking a little bit about how bad that was. Coast Electric, about 85,000 people. You had 65,000 outages just for that little storm. It wasn't a little storm. It's probably the most expensive storm since Katrina. The governor's told me that. You've told me that. And we had some significant hits. That's the Lighthouse Pier. Now, we had a number of meetings with FEMA and MEMA and FEMA. And I'm committed, just like I was committed to putting that heavier sand on the beach. Instead of putting 200 micron sand, we're going to be double the size of that sand to keep that sand on the beach. Well, I don't want to rebuild the pier the same way. Okay, we're not going to do that. So you're going to see something that's going to do multiple things. So we've had an RFP out for engineering firms to say, come back, what are your thoughts? But we do have the ability now. In the past, FEMA said, you just got to build it just like it was. But we're not going to do that. FEMA now has indicated that if I have to go, if it really costs $1 million to put it back, that's about a 600-foot pier, okay? They will allow you now to put some addition, some different kind of decking, or put some things that would prevent the wave action and things to happen. They'll allow you another 100%. So I could say, instead of spending $1 million, I could put $2 million in that pier. But you see the pilings. There's some interesting aspects of what we could do there. 600 feet of pier. Thinking about in Galveston, as a result, their piers were protected by a groin, which is a rock jetty or actually a big granite stuff. So you'll see something like that, or some riprap or some concrete in between the pilings that will reduce the wave action from coming up. Look at the flow through decking. So all those things. So you'll see when it gets rebuilt. It won't be rebuilt the same way, and it'll be doing multiple purposes. Right there, if you take a look at the pier, look to the east and then look to the west. You got about 20 feet of beach to the east. But what happens is something called littoral drift. On our coast, because of the tides and the southeast wind, prevailing winds, the littoral drift brings the sand from the east to the west. Unless you put some obstacle there to keep it. And you look, even at the outfalls, look to one side and look to the other side. You can see sand building up on one side and sand scouring out on the other, but it's going to the west. So that's going to be high on our list on don't rebuild it the same way and expect different results. The next big thing is we drive down the beach, look at the sand. Okay, we keep that damn sand on the beach, not on the highway. That's my story. So, and I'm gonna, the pilot program that we're doing between Oak Street and the Small Craft Harbor, we'll have an 18-inch knee wall. Okay, and we'll actually drive. The thing steps out about 5 steps, and so the sand right now is probably up to the 2nd step in most cases. When the wind blows, I think Vincent took some pictures of the wind. This was 2 days ago, right? All over the place. Now, everybody's, don't hit me, hit Funia, kind of deal. That ain't my job. You got MDOT, you got Sand Beach, you got us, Billy Ray, right? So we're going to figure out something about that. We're going to keep that damn sand on the beach. And
we can't just take a dam.
No, you know how long I've said that? Well, that's a good point. The reason why they put it up there, there's an ADA and some sort of, you can't fall more than 31 inches. Okay, that's, otherwise we'd have to do. Now, how long has that seawall been there? 1927.
Before us.
Yeah, before us. And did you ever remember seeing sand on the highway? Never, because you had at least 5 or 6 steps. Well, with the knee wall and the new boardwalk, not boardwalk, but walkway, it'll be down to at least the 5th step. Okay, and then it'll make it easier for them to get the box blades in and recycle things. So that's high on the list. But the project, the last boardwalk project is key. It's going to be a pilot for the rest. And we got 31,000 linear feet of seawall in Biloxi. And we need about we'll take 5,000 off of it, but there's about 17,000 feet we need to do something with. No boardwalk, no sidewalk, but my next I guess, goal, and then since y'all stuck with me 4 more years, my next goal is to do something, make it beautiful, keep the sand on the beach, do things, more parking. There's a lot of things that can be done. But a lot of agencies that we're trying to, get together with to get a plan. Anything's possible given time and money. Well, we're going to push hard to keep this place safe, friendly, and beautiful. There's a number of damages to all the piers, as I said, and then buildings. The visitor center, Bill, what we're talking about, $600,000 worth of roof that was damaged there at the visitor center. Million? Oh, that's good news. But, again, we've got a tremendous department and a way, again, from the North contract and some of the rigmarole that we had to do with a FEMA Katrina project, right? So we know the drill on what it takes to move. First of all, it brings us up to another thing, okay? Zeta. Mike yelled out the wrong way. I think we processed 250,000 cubic yards of debris, okay? We paid $2.5 million. And the way this works, because I've been used to this, first of all, you pay the vendor, you get the cancel check. Then you have all your application, how many, cubic yards, how much, time and materials, and then you go send it up the road. It comes back, 6 or 7 months. Then you get your reimbursement. Well, again, in business, what? Cash flow is the deal, right? So what we did with the ability, and I think we actually got the first $2.9 million reimbursed from FEMA, because we went and, bid out, hey, we need a $10 million credit line. Not that we'll buy it. We'll go borrow $10 million, but we need it cash flow wise. I got a credit line, and this exercise has worked, I think, and so we got $3 or $4 million outstanding. We're getting ready to pay about $3 million back, but it's an ongoing process, and we figure it may take a year to flush everything out. But that's all part of doing business, the way you have to do business. Any questions? But yeah, we got plenty of food left, right? So we can actually go. No, but I'm happy to.
What do you think? What is the turnaround time possibly on the pier at the White House?
Well, we actually went through a submission of RFP and figuring out what we can do. It may take a year to put the thing together, but we're going to do it the right way. That's not the only pier, right?
Right.
We had some on the bay. Now, it's interesting to say, we took a lot of, especially that Porter Avenue pier, and all the debris that was washed off. Billy Ray wasn't picked up, and he had contractors, he didn't pick it up. We had contractors bring it to Oak Street. So some of the remnants of those piers were used to do, the Forest Avenue pier, the Oak Street on the north part, and other places. So we still have wood left. And, that was a good move, because what has happened to materials, right? 29%. And wood's, even more than that. So we've taken the steps to get back. But to answer your question, it could be a year before you walk on that pier. But you won't be walking on it the same way, you did before. But you got a Coliseum pier, you got all these boat docks and launches and fences and those kinds of things that they're been tallied up and fixed. I think we've got most of the fencing, at least at Point Cadet Marina. But when that tide comes, it was 11 foot, I believe, 11-foot storm surge. But that was just in addition to the pandemic. We had to deal with that, and literally, the governor said, man, he was completely surprised with what the impact. Because I think there was a lot of, in this storm, it was moving fast. So 100-mile-an-hour wind, if it's moving at 20, you might see 120-mile-an-hour wind, but there's a lot of, I think, little tornadoes or little tornadic activity that, were knocking things down that you wouldn't believe. Okay, any other questions? But I'm happy to be here. And like I said, I couldn't be more proud to be the mayor of this city. And I'm appreciative of everybody who loves this city and makes it, the place where you want to live, work, and play. So, Rachel, Chamber, thank you so much.
or just the views that we have. I think they're awesome. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize one of our city council members here, Mr. Felix Skynes. Give us a little wave back there. So in 2020, in spite of the pandemic and canceling most of our Biloxi Chamber fundraisers, we were still able to award over $25,000 in business grants to businesses in the Biloxi Chamber service area. We are so excited to award our first grant of 2021. Biloxi Chamber's Reoccupancy Grant Program provides incentive for businesses to open in the city of Biloxi. I'm going to call Sam forward with the big check. Today, we will award Wags and Swags a $1,000 Biloxi Chamber Reoccupancy Grant. We're going to have our grant winners come up.
Congratulations. Congratulations, thank you.
Wags and Swags is located at 1735 Pass Road in Biloxi. It is a pet boutique and groomer. They provide a unique exotic flair for your pet's wardrobe for every occasion and for everyday wear. They will make sure your pet is prancing in style. Congratulations to Ebony and Al of Wags and Swags.
All right.
We,
I think y'all took care of my dog Junior the other day. Junior, you remember Junior?
General small business grants, we have women-owned business grants, veteran-owned business grants, and we have minority-owned business grants. Those close on May 20th. So if you are a small business or know a small business that can take advantage of party foul, Sam, party foul. That can take advantage of these opportunities. Please encourage them to go to www.mscoastchamber.com for all of our grant applications. We also just opened our Leadership Gulf Coast applications. Anybody here a graduate of Leadership Gulf Coast? Please give those applications to someone you know. Our classes will resume for this year. We halted our program last year for the pandemic, but we are ready to move forward with that program. And it is a great opportunity to not only expand your knowledge of the Mississippi Gulf Coast, but expand your network to many, many contacts. So that concludes our program today. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm crossing the finish line, coming through a ribbon, and we look forward to more opportunities to have breakfast with Mayor Gillett, as well as many other programs with the Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for coming.